Hi, this is Mitch Mitchell of TT Mitchell Consulting Incorporated, and I'm here to talk about freedom of speech and proper speech. We had something extraordinary that happened on Monday of this week. We had a player named Jason Collins of the NBA, who I'll admit I'd never heard of before, come out and announce that he was gay. Now, it's after the season, and he's 34 years old, he's a center, and he's going to be a free agent. But he announced he was gay, and it had to have been something that was already in the works because the same day the Sports Illustrated magazine came out, picture of him on the cover announcing he was gay. So obviously someone knew it. Now, it was a very intriguing day because there were a lot of people who were looking at Twitter streams and Facebook streams to find out just what kind of response he was going to get. And overall, he got a lot of positive response. And that shows how far our society has come on the issue of homosexuals and homosexual love and, a lot of that other stuff. But there were a few people who didn't agree with it, who didn't like it, including a couple of people in the NBA. Now, one of them basically said he just had some questions. He couldn't understand it. There's all these pretty women out there. What would attract a guy to a guy when there's attractive women? Okay, we'll dismiss that one for now. But the other one, he didn't like it at all. He didn't think that homosexuals deserved to have any different rights than his. But he made one statement that I thought was very interesting. He said, "How come I'm not allowed to have an opinion of my own?" And I thought about that because the truth of the matter is that everybody is allowed an opinion. Almost. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. First, most of us are allowed to say anything we want to. People do it all the time. A lot of people say things that some other people don't like. And, they then get mad because other people don't like what they have to say. Other people want to shout them down. But you know what? You got to say it. If it's unpopular, you know what? That's on you. If it's popular, that's also on you. That is the whole thing that people seem to misunderstand about free speech is they think that free speech basically means that you get to say and do anything you want to without ramifications. Life doesn't work that way. If a lot of people don't like what you have to say, they're going to shout you down. Yes, you're going to find some people who are going to support you, but, people are going to shout it down. And it's not always a bad thing. Back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, minorities were fighting for their rights, and they got shouted down all the time. And they even got shouted down by people who said that they supported them, but they just wish they would stay a little quieter. So it's not necessarily that it's always a bad thing, but there is a difference between being progressive and regressive. So, you can pretty much say anything you want to, except, and here's the except, the guy who disagreed with this man coming out saying he was gay happens to be an NBA player himself. The official NBA stance was that we welcome diversity of all kinds and we will support this player and everything he wants to do. He said the right thing. A lot of former basketball players and present basketball players, in my opinion, said the right thing. But it was interesting that this guy said that, shouldn't I be allowed to have an opinion? Well, think about this. What happens in the NBA if coaches say bad things about the referees in the game? They get fined, and they get fined big money. What happens if a player does it? Players can get fined big money. They can also be suspended. So you don't really get to have your say. Now, you get paid multi-million dollars, and, you sign these contracts. And in the contracts, there's these clauses that are there that basically say, you're going to follow the rules of the league that, you're getting paid from. So this guy's saying, don't I get to say what I want to? No, you need to look at your contract. Doesn't mean it's right, but you signed it. Your agent signed it. You didn't see this coming. That's just too darn bad. So this is one of those kind of things where when you think about it, a lot of companies try to suppress different things that employees might say here and there because they say, well, you're representing the company when you're in public. And so there's certain things you can't say. You know what? It turns out that's not true and it's not legal. Legally, on your own personal time, you can say anything you want to, once again, within reason. You can't give away company secrets. So, if your company was getting ready to add something and no one else knows it, you can't mention it. If your company's getting ready to go bankrupt and whatever, you can't mention it. That's just the law. But If it's just something you want to say in general, oh yes, I work in this office and oh, it's just so oppressive and I don't like the way it's run. You know what? You're allowed to do that. It's probably not a smart thing to do because someone might see it and might report it back. And even though by law, you're not supposed to get any kind of penalty against it or no one is supposed to treat you any worse because you had that, you got to face the facts. If people are upset with what you say, they just might treat you differently. Nothing says they got to treat you bad, but they might treat you differently. Do you want to be treated differently? You know what? That's up to you. Say anything you want to. But sometimes you just don't get to have it your way. Yeah, say anything you want to. Suffer the consequences. This is what I do when I put out these videos. I give my perspective on things. If someone else doesn't like it, you know what? I put it out there for people to comment on. So that's pretty much how that goes. Within reason, of course, because I expect a certain amount of decorum. And if it's not there, you know, I will handle that in a different way. So that's what I wanted to talk about today is people need to reevaluate this concept of freedom of speech. You know, if you want to say anything you want to, say it. But if other people don't like it, don't complain about it. Just basically be an adult and say, well, you know what? I asked for it. I got to say what I wanted to say. I'm at peace with myself. To Jason Collins, I applaud you for coming out. I hope you get a free agent contract, even though you've been an NBA player for 14 years and I don't know who you are. But I understand you're 7 foot tall and you can't train 7 foot. I mean, you know, you just are. So there you go. Like I said, I'm Mitch Mitchell of TT Mitchell Consulting. I hope y'all have a great day. And by the way, if you have comments, leave comments below or, you know, leave me a video response. That would be intriguing to see. Take care.